see, this is the biggest crowd ever, I think. So, I wrote this right after Bernie Sanders had a heart attack. This is in the beginning of October. It's called Bernie Sanders' Heart. How much strength and courage does it take to keep a heart beating when challenging the most powerful and entrenched forces in the world? How can the wall of an aorta maintain itself after 78 years of pushing outward against the pressure of a world pumping with injustice, inequality, and self-destructiveness? Every beat of the stubborn heart must overcome the resistance of a world that would smother it if allowed to do so. His mighty heart beats, and the nation awakens to the possibility of health care as a human right, not a privilege just for the few. Thump. Long dormant workers begin to organize again into labor unions, demanding that no one should work full time and still live in poverty. Thump. 150,000 Amazon workers gain a living wage. Thump. The House and Senate pass a resolution reclaiming the power of Congress alone to declare war. Thump. For the first time, climate change is an issue debated regularly on the news and in presidential debates. Thump. The legalized bribery of corporate money in politics becomes a liability instead of an asset to political candidates. Thump. Criminal justice reform, ending the private prison system and reversing the racial disparity of law enforcement becomes the necessary position of any viable progressive candidate for public office. Thump. Young people mobilize to the demand for a tuition-free public college education and the forgiveness of suffocating generational student debt. Thump. The Green New Deal becomes a viable political option in Congress. Thump. Thousands of young and progressive people are inspired to run for political office at every level of government to fight for a more just and viable future. Thump. The center of gravity of the entire political world shifts to follow this heartbeat. When Martin Luther King Jr. died in 1968, did his heart stop beating? Or does the beat continue in the hearts of all those who understand and carry on his mission? Bernie Sanders' campaign is so much more than a contest to choose the next president of the United States in 2020. It is the synchronistic, echoing heartbeat of the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, the labor movement, the women's rights movement, the abolitionist movement, the anti-colonialist movement, every movement of conscience that has taken place throughout human history. There are other candidates who have seen how his message inspires and who have learned the rhetoric. But are their heartbeats in sync with the heartbeats of Susan B. Anthony, of King, of Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, of Mohandas Gandhi? The stainless steel stents that are now maintaining the blood flow to Bernie Sanders' heart are keeping the flesh alive. But the stents do not account for what is maintaining the world-changing heartbeat. Perhaps once in a generation, someone is born with a heart big and strong enough to maintain that beat. this may be the first and last chance we have an opportunity to elect that person as the most powerful person on the planet.